more than you. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking on. I tell you, never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Always consider somebody suffering more than you. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking on. Never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Anywhere you turn, somebody suffering more than you. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking on. I tell you, never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Always consider somebody suffering more than Some people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Let the people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Resting the worries upon your shoulder, only bringing you older and older. These wicked things them people does do. You don't realize you have worries too. Tell them to never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I said to tell them never ever worry. Don't mind how you're suffering bad. Never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. Always consider somebody suffering more than you.
Yes indeed. Yes indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. This is, yes, the Thursday edition. Yes, the penultimate to, of course, my Sabatal. Yes indeed. Thursday. And of course, we have a bumper program in this very, what I consider damp night in Trinidad, in Port of Spain. Yes, a whole day, of course, and there has been, of course, scattered showers, but of course, a persistent drizzle. And that, of course, some say water for young ducks or weather for young ducks. But of course, an old duck like me, I think I would have had enough of that. So, of course, I have to be outside tonight, just as, of course, some of you who may be in a similar, let's say, category or a similar biological state like I am. But that being as it may, I want, of course, to focus tonight on the whole question of whether or not the Trinidad and Tobago has emerged from the scourge of the 1990 coup, and whether or not we are still suffering from the repercussions, crime, drug addiction, drug proliferation, and of course the narcotic trade, and whether or not it will continue to cause the deterioration of our economy, and whether such a parallel or subterranean economy will bring Trinidad and Tobago out of the economic quagmire that has found itself. Of course, I think the answer is obvious, and therefore maybe that is a rhetorical question, because no narcotic state could survive on earth. And we see, of course, with respect to Venezuela, for example, that is considered to be a narcotic state, where, of course, its president has a bounty on his head for over $25 million US. I don't know if it's dead or alive, but of course he is a fugitive from the justice system of the United States. And of course, the 28th of April caused Trinidad and Tobago to make a decision, the people to make a decision to disassociate itself with that particular regime, lest of course we also be characterized, as was the case when of course the Rowley administration and the PNM would have been in government. Let's not waste time with that. That's a fact. That is a consideration. That's a risk that of course the administration took. I talk about the Rowley administration and the PNM, suggesting somehow that they will emerge out of that unscathed. Well, you have to be a fool. Birds of feather flock together. That's a fundamental principle. And if it is your friend is a narcotic dealer, and you of course associate, especially in circumstances where you defend, as was the case with the Rowley administration and the Young administration, then of course you will be classified as persona non grata. Persona non grata. To of course states that are trying to protect its citizens from the scourge and the deleterious effects of drug and addiction. That is the reality. So of course, once again, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, Central, our friends in Tobago, wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. This is, of course, the Corridor Transformation, your host, Lennox. Let me say, of course, a profuse apology for last night, but boy, oh boy, I went to sleep. I can tell you what is happening with me these days. I went to sleep around 5 o'clock and hoping to get up for a time at least for the program last night. And by the time I got up, it was minutes to 9, close to 9 o'clock, so it didn't make sense. So then, of course, I had to hastily project or upload an apology, which, of course, I trust that was taken in strides. And with the understanding that if something would have gone wrong, if it is that I wasn't able to generate a program last night, it must have been something that was beyond my control, having regard, of course, to my commitment and dedication, whether it be before the 28th of April or subsequent or after or post the 28th of April. Well, of course, what we have been advocating for manifests itself. And of course, in two ways. One, the emergence and the acceleration or ascendancy of the UNC and the coalition of interests. And of course, the demise of the PNM. Because that is what we advocated for, and that is what materialized in the fullness of time. Remember, it is said, and I was always saying that evil could never prevail over good. Well, of course, a good reached its time, got its opportunity, and is here. And therefore, we must continue in that vein. So once again, of course, don't forget, I seem to always omit these days. So let me say, on Facebook, you can get, of course, the Corridor Transformation on Alfred John. Log on to Alfred John, that page, and you will get the Corridor Transformation. And in the case of YouTube, of course, you just log on to Corridor Transformation and it will take you directly there, as I am seeing right now in my monitor that monitors the program itself, to make sure that we have some kind of quality control. I trust that, of course, where you are in Trinidad, that you are not affected negatively by the inclemency of the weather. I trust that up the Caribbean as well, because I understand that this meteorological phenomenon has engulfed at least the lower part of the Caribbean basin or the Caribbean islands, that archipelago that starts in Cuba in the north and of course extends all the way to Trinidad in the west, near of course Venezuela, Guyana, and close to the southern South America, right? What that is usually called Latin America, even though of course you have countries that speak in English, and of course another that speaks, a very large one, I talk about Brazil, that speaks they speak Portuguese. Portuguese, yes, is the main language there. There's a historical context why that is so, and why they are not speaking, of course, Spanish as their first language, as opposed to places like Guyana, not Guyana, but places like Venezuela, Argentina, Peru, even, of course, Mexico, but that's Central America. We have, of course, other countries in South America, such as Paraguay and Uruguay, as well as, of course, Chile. Yes, indeed. In South America, of course, Central America, well, we know Mexico, we know, of course, even Belize is part of Central America, even though it is connected to the West Indies, because of its historical antecedent, its colonial past, meaning that it was dominated by the British, and that is why, although it is part of Central America, it is connected to the Caribbean in terms of economic relations, in terms of culture, and in terms, of course, other factors consequential of the dominance of Britain in these parts, or put another way, on these islands or these territories. Of course, surrounding them, you have, of course, Honduras in Central America. You have, of course, Panama, and a number of other well-known and not so well-known countries that strew or expand from, of course, the southern part of the United States, Texas in particular, right down, of course, to Panama, and, of course, joining there on that isthmus, that connecting piece of land. Well, you have, of course, Colombia, and then, of course, Venezuela, and we can regurgitate what we said earlier. So I thought about a little bit of history, a little bit of geography will, of course, be part and parcel of the offerings of tonight's program. But I want to take you back, of course, to the situation of never, never worry. You see, I had cause to talk to some young people today and yesterday with respect, of course, to the 1990 coup attempt and what it meant for Trinidad and Tobago, and whether or not we are suffering from the repercussions of that scenario. As all of us would want to agree, we have a deterioration in our socio-economic and psycho-cultural circumstance, and whether Trinidad and Tobago is ripe for maybe another upheaval, or indeed a different upheaval, but nonetheless an upheaval in terms of positive revolutionary action to make Trinidad and Tobago a safe, prosperous, dynamic, well-educated, and technologically advanced state or community. Yes, quite a lot in that statement, but it is said that to whom much is given, much is expected. And if I've taken on the responsibility to, of course, edify and to take the nightly jaunts or the nightly effort to project onto the population optimism towards, of course, a utopian type of living. Because let's face it, in the Caribbean and in the Western world, Trinidad and Tobago is considered to be one of the richest per capita, of course, based on our size of population in this part of the world. The problem is, why is it also simultaneously seen as the sixth most dangerous place in the world? Has, of course, per capita, a higher number of terrorists as the American media system would suggest, and why it is that we have such a high gang and gangsterism culture, and most importantly, the level of corruption that has become part and parcel of the social makeup of the country. And more importantly, probably, what are the mechanisms? What are the tools? What are the policies and programs that the new government is taking to arrest this state of affairs? Remember that foreign investment is critical. Foreign policy dictates the level of income that the country will benefit from. And therefore, in order for that to happen, having regard, of course, to the international monetary and economic system that we are part of, being a very minute player in this whole process. How do we survive? What products and services we have to sell to the international community in order to earn foreign exchange that will cause us to drive nice and maybe not so nice vehicles, have, of course, the computers and the IT technology that is required to boost, whether it be in finance or whether it be in education or whether it be in, of course, agriculture, and of course advancing our technological, what I consider to be matrix. How do we find the resources? And of course we know the mainstay that has evolved since the discovery of oil in Trinidad and Tobago, well, in Trinidad specifically, as opposed to Tobago, for over 100 years. And today, we are faced with the dual issue. One, not like Guyana, not like Venezuela, who are next door to us. We are suffering, of course, from the effects of a wasting asset. In other words, oil is running out. And even though we claim to have a gas economy, yet that too is running out because they are wasting assets. And therefore the question of diversification becomes a critical issue in order to maintain the quality of life and standard of living and to still continue to dominate as the premier country as far as per capita income is concerned, and therefore continue to be seen as the richest island in the Caribbean. These are critical issues that must be addressed. And I want to tell you, the new government, of which of course my party is a part, are talking about Love, Lavatil Outreach for Vertical Enrichment, has been working feverishly and of course broadening, of course, the democratic base, or put another way, the participatory base, by of course, as dictated, or should I say commanded, or should I say suggested, or I don't want to sound as though it was cursive, but it was a national agenda item where every constituency in the country has been asked to conduct their own pre-budget consultation. And of course, the one for Lavatil East, Lavatil West, Port of Spain South, and Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, was conducted last Sunday. Very successful indeed. We will have some highlights of that next week, or maybe over the weekend. But there are others, of course, to be taking place tomorrow, for example. We have, of course, the same constituencies, I believe, by and large, but from a UNC perspective. The coalition had theirs at the Queen's Park Savannah on Sunday. the UNC will have theirs. Among other things, I understand maybe the swearing in of constituency executives. I think that may be part and parcel of the process as far as the UNC is concerned. But of course, I will be there as a representative of Love and part of the coalition of interests. So we have some serious discussions to be engaged in. If we are to save Trinidad and Tobago from the rot, from the quagmire, from the decadence, and from the level of what I consider to be deterioration that we have seen, particularly over the last 9 years prior to the 28th of April. Let me just get my phone. Yeah, let me just get my phone to make sure that we have everything on board. Let me make sure that the phone is up and running. So, yes, so it's up and running. So you can begin to make your calls now. But let me, of course, invite you. Let me invite you to a very important, because you see, it is said that you are doomed to repeat it, especially if it is negative, if you do not learn from your mistakes. If you didn't take history and your past and your antecedent into consideration, you are doomed to repeat it. And therefore, when we see, of course, the increase in murders, unacceptable, when we see that there is the fact is that a state of emergency has been declared, all of us must be worried. All of us must be worried. But let's go to the lines as we, of course, look at tonight's program and to see what you would have bring to the table in terms of course, your own concerns, and maybe, I'm sure, it will mesh with or impinge on my own concerns tonight. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
A pleasant good night to you, Uncle Lennox, and to all your listeners on the live. Please share, please share. I can only beg. We need the 40,000 common people. All the listen to the PNM stupid propaganda machine in Aruka. Come listen to conversation to improve all their life and listen to the truth. We need the 40,000. Tell the PNM people, come and listen. Why CPF workers is out of a job today, temporarily. And please, put a little something. We need a little financial too. So Uncle Lennox, the telling the truth, right now my head's so hot that I forget all what you're talking about. All I hear you talking about, the economy and agriculture, foreign exchange and investment. Then I hear you talking again about crime and criminality, right? And if I choose one of the topic, I might take. But tonight I will stay a little long on the phone until you run me. Hear what going on?
Yeah, you go ahead.
When you're ready, you cut off that phone, and if you cut it off, me and you will have a program. Hear what going on?
Go ahead.
When you talk about criminality, one has to think about, a name comes to mind, is the PNM. Because I want the listeners to understand, right? And I ask a question now. When you talk about a criminal, and a criminal is kill people, rob people, and distress people, and take away the rightful property, the private property, the property of the constitution rights. So now we see 4 divers in a pipeline for 36 hours while they're playing golf and negotiating how to take an OFAC license to negotiate till 2028 in this year, this time, to get revenue from a gas field. Then there was negotiating with Perenco and Woodside to hide 6 months before it due date. All that production, where it was going in their private pocket. That's not thieving and criminality. That's not murder. That's criminality talking about. So I want to know if I can say PNM. Let's say PNM, the most criminal entity. You're seeing $1.4 billion. 2 Borat fighting. Right? And yet still none of them want to accept that coup wrong. And that then you see Churchill will defend himself and say the Constitution and the way he was appointed as Prime Minister by the President was an interim one. He didn't have no prime ministerial powers. You know, I think of myself, you know, that is the making. And I feel that comment. Because when they know about the criminal activities, just as how the police know where to wait and wait till the criminals will come back in the open and walk when they find they're looking for them. But $1.4 billion, right? You telling me that is not thieving and that is criminal act? Because a bandit just breaking people's house, go hold up people at gunpoint. But them hold up people, they hold up the whole country at pinpoint on a pen, by a pen, and a verbal, by mouth say, the robbery, that is criminality. Then you're talking about NGC board again, you know. You're talking about you put a whole board to take money on our instructions verbally and spend money where it's supposed to do it the right way. So that I just want to touch on that criminality. Then if you're talking about investment, just imagine PNM give away 1,100 acres of farmland, and they're only cutting stones out of the place. How much cattle, how much beef we get, how much milk we get in, what is the liters per day we get it from that farm, the divest it. Let me hear now, because average liter of milk on the shelf is $14 TT. How much milk is that farm producing at 1,100 acres, which was a dairy farm? How much milk it producing? You're talking about investment, and you're talking about US dollars coming to the country. When you see they take a company, such as the special company of Long Point East, Shakaramas, in Toka Valley, and they mash up all them farm on them. What they had the mega farm since in Manning time. And then they come and they say, what? Green shed, some shade program. You mash up Caroni Green, which they bring in $700,000 in pepper. Then the Moruga landslip all over the road, the Moruga Hill rice. How much they push it? The simple thing. You talk about investment in Uncle Lennox. The Caroni Plains, the rice farmers and them, just to get water from our river, what flooding the people. That water not waste. In the Waima River. Just to flood and to get rice right around the year. You tell the people, you put an exorbitant water rate to extract water and you have to pay. You're talking about investment, you know, and the PNM mash up all of that, you know, that you can't produce rice in Trinidad. We say we are going to Guyana because the money is small. You know what I say? There is dog rice and we are no Guyanese rice. India rice have bicycle in it. Where we get the rice from? And it reach up to $7 billion. Who is the importer? And what is it for agriculture? So let me touch on the agriculturist, Kazim Hussein, right? See no evil, know no evil. How much access road in a bridge falling down, but yet still cabbage, tomatoes, bygone, it's expensive. And you know what is the integral part? You're talking about investment, you know, for foreign exchange, you know. You see now that the world saying that it have a shortage because Trump decided to fix America and it have an effect that the farmers rather leave the crop in the field. America lost $6 billion in soybean. Guyana planting soybean, you know. The same China, what is called China, it's called chickpeas. Guyana planted it down there, and Guyana has the same tropical country like we, you know. Where is the money Kazim Hussein put to get farmers to bring in seeds, plants, and equipment to make garden? But they don't want to say farming is a zero, right, rated business. You don't have to pay no tax. But when they go and they buy a little machine with an engine outside and they bring it in, you know how much tax you have to pay? And they tell you still have to pay duty. And when you tell them that the minister in there say that you're tax-free, right? And it's exempt. He said that show me the letter, what he signed the order on, right? It's a day. So you're talking about investment. TCL Cement. We had a cement plant. SPD sell out the shares to Cemex. We was getting money. Guyana developing at a rapid pace. 100,000 tons of cement to sell to Guyana. Who making the money, Uncle Lennox? Where that money going? In or outwards? With the PNM, any investor will bring the money going outwards. Just the other day, we were talking about the Kobo Star, the Kobo and all Rowley Star. We get an electrician office, and up to now, nobody know where $22,000 a month for a boat in the US going. So you're talking about investment, and I'm still on investment. Tobago people.
Including the provision of food and social.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. Don't study my lips. I'm talking to somebody in studio.
Fundamentally.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. And Tobago, right? Which part I will start? I will start with the agriculture sector in Tobago. Just imagine, Rowley is a Tobagonian, and the Tobago farmers to produce, check the conditions and the high cost of fertilizer plants on the island. He never tried to subsidize it in a way that transportation to Tobago, the price could be equal. But you know, if I see drink in Trinidad for $5, when I go to Tobago, you have to pay $8. But Rowley, we talking about investment, You're talking about boot sandals, sandal to come, right? But just imagine we have 4-top hotel where they went and spend money. And when Darrell Smith say the $90,000 we spend in it is the state owned, it's coming back, the money coming back to the state. He spent $90,000, but you telling me those hotels under the government or the PNM can be upgraded, can bring the 5-star status, and they can market it. We need a man to come to put it, and now we have a company, a local company, want to spend $500 million and take how much acres of land to develop cottages and bungalows in America, in Tobago. That is investment, but where the Tobago people benefited from. Me talking about the $116 million cost of running an airport, and how he robbed the people the land, and they paid them the money so they could reinvest or do anything, Just imagine the fishermen and them in Tobago, right? They gas the boat and oil costing them more than a Trinidad one. You say you put subsidy back on gas, you ever get a rebate? You say register and be a register for fisherman. When the oil spill hit, up to now you play politics and you give the people them compensation. You build like a house that went, just imagine Europe in the last summit one day, right? Nobody are talking about this, the fish industry and the crustacean, the big word. I tried to use some big words here. Right? So you have to help me.
Go right ahead, my friend.
Because next thing I cost.
He referred to crab and shrimps and so on, crustaceans. Go ahead, my friend.
Right?
Yes.
And fish. Just imagine. They're talking about, the PNM are talking about the European Union begging people, saying that Trinidad missed out, that they didn't sign it 3 years ago. Who was in for 3 years ago? So you see, you're talking about investment, And Uncle Lennox, I want to tell the people who listen, and all we other listeners, that all who does make the little fruit cake, all who does make the little wine and juices and make the little ham, advertise on Lennox, give them $20, they talk it out and advertise for it. Then we start looking to produce in mass production, high quality to get the Caribbean market. We is a single market and economy. And that is one thing the PNM mash up. That's only to negotiate for dragon gas. So let me come and use the opportunity, because just imagine up the Caribbean, St. Vincent talking that when their farmers sell the produce to Trinidad, they get in the US is next to dog money. So let me start to exchange money with them, start doing trade. Then we get together and be serious. So Uncle Lennox, the opportunity is there, but you're talking about crime and investment. I hope I stick on the topic. So if
Yes.
you have a call coming in, you just cut me. Because I can keep going to
Yes,
the
I have
phone
a
right
call
till 9
coming in.
o'clock.
I have a call coming
Right.
in. I have a call
Okay.
coming in.
After that, good night.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Wonderful, wonderful.
Kept Radio
Let me-
610 on air during the
let me-
insurrection.
just
The
let me-
hostages at the Red House and at
let me just,
TTT
let me just take off
1230.
this,
Cannon
this
Nolan
keyboard
Clark.
automatically. Let me
Han.
see where the issue
Winston
is.
Tukuran.
Where
Mr.
is it?
Emmanuel Carter. The Cadet Corps.
Oh.
Mr.
I see.
Aloy Leakey.
I see what
Dr.
happened.
Romesh
Just a
Mudu.
minute.
Mr. Tim Lampkin. Mr. Jensen Fox. Mr. Mervyn Telfer. Water and Sewerage Authority.
All right. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Tagarigo.
Hey, Lennox, good night.
Good night, my friend.
Where you going, man, now?
Yeah, I'm all right. And yourself?
I all right, well, you know, the other night when I talked to you,
Uh-huh.
I be talking about maddest.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to ask you if you're going to come up with a word.
Yes.
After that, put that out.
Uh-huh.
I suppose the only people will come up with a word after maddest
Okay.
is the PLM.
Yes.
Because they go on the on mad, right?
Uh-huh.
So they won't know what the word is. You hear me good?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
And the more you listen to them, the more you tell yourself why, like, the only thing for them to do is wrong themselves in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
You think anybody in their right mind, Lennox, we don't have to pay no property tax. Nobody can take me pension. Right? So we house and everything safe. The possibility of we getting weapons to protect myself, guns. You really think anybody taking on the PLM right now, Lennox?
And no. And let me tell you this. Those who are attempting, of course, to falsely make accusations and, of course, trying to, at the same time, hoodwink others into a state of affairs that does not exist. Really and truly, PNM-oriented individuals who believe that the status quo must remain. And they don't care about what you just said, that you don't have to pay property tax, that, of course, the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority has been, of course, well, I shouldn't say, would not be pursued by this government, and that, of course, there are other mechanisms in place, and because you have to wait for the evaluation of CPEP and URP, just as the opposition looking at low-hanging fruit as far as they are concerned, even though they created the situation where the government had to, of course, re-evaluate these programs, and the fact that it would have bust anyway. But the fact of the matter is that if the PNM had won, or if the UNC and the coalition of interest didn't make the intervention, that there would be, of course, in addition to property tax, in addition to, of course, increase in electricity, water rates, charges to import items, and we can go on and on top of what. Yeah, it means therefore, so there are people who are thin-skinned and very gullible, and to listen to that kind of hogwash, and they must examine the horns. They must say, well, what are they doing? I mean, the sacrifice that one is being asked to make. I agree that it cannot go on indefinitely. The government must have a cutoff period because, of course, let's face it, though if you are evaluating and you suspend, but that is normal, you suspend the URP program simultaneously, you suspend, of course, the CPEP program. Well, of course, that is a separate cause, but annually, URP is usually cut off. There's a cutoff point to restart because there is a legal requirement where people who work continuously up to a certain point, if that happens in the case of URP, which is possible without the break, they could be considered entitled to certain benefits and so on that the program did not or was not designed to accommodate. So you understand the challenges here. It's unfortunate that both things clash or both things collide because of the results of the elections won, and the fact that the PNM did not cater for that financially. I had to go through the whole process of adding through the mid-year review and the augmenting of the of the budget, and of course the fact that most of these programs and the ministries' allocations, in fact, were exhausted, and we were what in April. So it means therefore the government is moving speedily. So I say 4 months, 6 months, I think is reasonable time, and they should not pay any attention to those elements who are attempting to make it look as though the government has been in office for over 3 years. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, in a way, with the arm, you are clear about that.
Yes.
That's well, I keep it how the British government live here, you know. You see, when you reach 65, you must retire.
Yes.
Do you ever forget them wanted to carry up the age of 70? What can they're dead?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to carry over 65.
Yeah.
How people could work so long, nobody can work so long, Lennox.
Well, that is what the intention was. So
Yes.
as to hope that people die before they could benefit from their entitlement as a senior citizen or as an old age pensioner.
You know when they reach 65, Lennox?
Yeah.
And some people working since they're 18 years old. Right?
Yeah.
And then they tell you to go beyond that.
Yeah.
But you're no good. You're no take
But
yourself, Lennox.
and there was a kind of what I consider be disconnect, because while you would have retired, let's say around 60, right?
Yeah.
There was no mechanism in place. There was no specific plan to bridge that gap, so that even if you retire at 60, or put another way, you were entitled to get old age pension from 60. There was no mechanism in place to give you something to eat between 60 and 65 when that should have been triggered in immediately, as is the case today. But now when you have to wait until 65, you have to wait a whole 5 years with nothing. So you have to really have to be very meticulous and be very what I consider to be inventive and creative in order to, of course, bridge that gap.
Here's why I tell you. Them is the only people could tell you where the world after madness.
Yeah.
It's only them could do it.
Yeah.
Because they're mad. We tired talk how mad is. Right? But they gone beyond mad.
Yeah.
And make it appear as though the amount of thing I hear they're talking, I say, look, let me stop listening to these people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It just makes sense listening to them, Lennox.
No, it makes sense. More and more when you listen to the and you are doing so against a background prior to the 28th of April, when in fact they spoke as though it's their private business, that the government is their private business and they could do what the hell they want. Businessmen will want to engage, let's say, in not providing, for example, as somebody said yesterday, no salary, no compensation for lunch, for example, even though your lunch period is connected to the business, because you can't leave and go. You're there, you're taking lunch because as a human being you have to eat, you have to replenish your energy, etc. But the businessmen acting as though they are not, you are there, not at their behest, not waiting to get back on let's say on the work line, so to speak. That is what they're getting on, and therefore no pay for you. That hour, you lost that hour. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Watch me. The businessman go always look for a way out. You know
A caller, just hold on. Have Mr. Togariga on the line. He's finishing in a while. All right?
The businessman will always look for a way out.
Yes, of course. But the government, but it's not the government to be looking for a way out. That's how Rowley and they came across. That they somehow is their personal thing, and therefore that is how they treat. But it really reeks with inhumane and barbaric tendency, as if they have a hatred for the people who put them there. I mean, that is unfathomable.
Let me tell you something before I go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know a girl that leave Princess Storm 6 o'clock. You just have to leave Princess Storm to reach in St. James for 6 o'clock in the morning. You know the kind of traveling you're talking about, you know?
Yeah, boy.
But she must be on the job for 6 o'clock.
Right.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. We got to go in this next night.
Uh-huh.
Long ago, when we had much population, people had to work longer hours, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
But now, when they start to reduce the hour, they stop at 8 hours.
Yes. But then and transportation became much more easier and accessible. All right, yeah, but so it's a contradiction. All right. Nothing different to the fact that you have more people now, more vehicles are on the road, but less gas stations. Yeah. All right, we have another caller, so we'll have to go.
Yeah, we will talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, caller. Sorry about that delay. Go ahead, sir.
Apologies accepted, but you don't have to worry. There's Diego Martin inside.
Yes, Diego Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to start with a little bit of humor. And I'm mixing the humor with diversification of the economy.
Okay.
And mitigation of crime.
All right.
This is humor, right? And I'm being sarcastic. I want us to look at repealing the 4 marijuana tree and giving law-abiding citizens a country. All right?
Uh-huh.
So when they jump my yard and they come in for the Zabuka, I gain them corn. Lots of corn against them.
I hear you, my friend. So that might well be, but in this case, it might well be metal corn. That's saying, as a bite, all your teeth drop out. I hear you.
So that's why I say a little humor mix with anything. But more importantly,
yes,
Uncle KCR.
Uh-huh.
This thing about they have him on the watch list and all kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
The other thing is Marvin and Bangladesh and Delhi. Why are they trying to pivot away from the real issue?
Yes.
No. Yesterday, a judgment was handed down on the former sports company board.
Yes.
And the judgment is basically the CEO, all the directors had to pay out 40,000 each, right?
Yeah, each one.
That
each one of them. Yeah, that's the judgment. That's the damage that they would have had to compensate. Well. At
despite
least,
they getting back the 34.
Yeah, delivered to the company. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, the company had to pay back the 34 million, etc. And what is really significant about that judgment? The judge say due diligence was lacking by the board.
Yeah.
So where that puts us? That puts us right into Mava, Taipans. Who are the others one? Marcel. La. With respect to that CPAP board, kind of they fight judiciary duties.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people have to, as we say, bracelet and blue soap, they have to start to provide for. Now, listening to that judgment, 2 things come into my mind. The pulling of the Malcolm Jones issue and the pulling of the Julian issues. Those 2 judgments, the PNM pulled it out. But there are consequences out of the judgment. Now, in the Malcolm Jones, I know no lawyer, I don't know anything. Malcolm Jones, they went only at Malcolm Jones. They have all the information about how they was going back. They should go after the whole board, inclusive of Malcolm Jones now. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't think it is time bar. Is it time?
Right, not
time bar?
I
think it might be
not
time bar.
But
go ahead, because there is a judgment. Some time ago, the bamboo. Remember the bamboo judgment where they said that
the Privy Council and it's Julian too.
Yeah.
When they come back for him to answer charges.
Yeah, they said that there should be no time bar in circumstances where the likelihood that a government in place will cover up, and therefore the time that it will take to uncover some corrupt action and bring it to court
No.
should
Let
not
us-
be should not impede them from bringing it to court. So that might be a judgment they could look at. But go ahead.
Right. Let us start to reflect on how many judgments they could look at. Remember, somebody spent 26 million somewhere to buy some detector for scrap iron and thing, and we can't find it. I think the minister responsible for that decision and that thing was a lady named Schoon, right?
Yes.
Now, you remember they recently gave a fella, a Chinese fella, the national, the Order of Trinidad and Tobago, and your partner KCR go to him up. He has gone to the great beyond now.
Yes.
That is the NGC fella.
All right.
For spending
We have to do quickly
all
because
those-
quite a number of persons calling right now. So go ahead.
All right, yes. So all of those things, what I'm saying, yes, a judgment, who do the wrong thing, let them pay. But likewise, we have to go after all of them, all of those boards who must misappropriate money.
Yes.
And for example, the Pledeco board was buying P&M Balize tickets. I go, have a good night.
Yes, thank you very much, of course. Quite interesting indeed. Of course, those persons who were calling, I noticed on my cell phone that you have been calling, about 2 or 3 of you. So you can do so now because we don't have a waiting system on the system that we have online, or which would give you a more efficient and much more plain access. Yes. So now we could treat with that. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Lost that one? All right. I've seen several calls coming in on the cell phone. I don't want to use the cell phone as such. So continue to call and right. Good. Let's see if we get that one out. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. All right. Good night to you, my friend.
Yeah, why I now come on your program, I wanted to listen a little to the PNM in defense of the people, boy.
I hear you.
Boy.
I hear you.
You had a real guts to listen to these people, you know.
Well, of course, I think it is so ad nauseum, it's sickening, but
yeah, boy.
But they are part and parcel of the political and the social and the economic and the what I consider to be the mental state that you have to listen.
I don't
you
know.
have to listen. Yeah.
But you know, you just try. I had to turn off the TV, boy, because I couldn't handle it again. When I hear Scotland come out to talk, that man is like a crazy man, boy. You know, when a man talk about poor people.
Swordfish face.
Oh,
you talk about?
Gosh. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
When a man talking about poor people, the poor people who they only talking about is only CPEC workers, you know, boy.
Yeah.
I don't know if them is the only people working in this country that's suffering. And 53 years out of 69 years, and you talking about poor people in our country, who make them poor, boy? It had to be you. You can't blame nobody else for their demise. You know? And they say, you know what I like what they say? That the PNM moving on. But I say like they forget, they just get moved out, boy.
but no. That level of what I consider to be illusion, delusion, and mental and cognitive decline. It's extended because remember, just when Stuart Young came in after Rowley, he says a new PNM, and and about 2 months afterwards, Penny came in and she said another new PNM, you know. I mean, it is clear that these people have gone mad. Yeah. There's a term for it. It is called, of course, manic depressive psychosis. Manic depressive psychosis. They lose all sight of reality. So they have gone. Go ahead. Yes.
Well, praise God, you had your program tonight that I could call back and get back to something in my brain again. All in my brain nearly match up just now. I go on. I go on. Somebody else now.
Thank you very much, of course, for that intervention. Yes, of course, the rest of you who are calling, I deliberately took you off the phone because I have the phone. Right, so now we can get, so it's one after the next. We don't have a waiting system on the formal system that we use to get you on efficiently and to hear you well. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox. Good night.
Good night,
How
my friend.
life?
Good night.
I see, like you're working real hard, boy.
Yes, boy, but tired like hell, boy. Yesterday I couldn't get up at all to have the program, so I got up about minutes to 9. I shocked. So I say, see me? So 3 o'clock today, I went and take a nap. Got back up around maybe 6 o'clock. And then I have a hectic day tomorrow again because quite apart from wanting to communicate with several ministers and so on, and at the same time I had to look for money. We have this exercise down at the SWTU Hall on Rising Road, where the UNC is having their pre-budget consultation. We are having our own pre-budget initiative. Love that is. What we are doing it differently. We are going to the corners because this is part of Port of Spain. We go to the corners, and if it's 2, 3 persons, 4 persons, youths in particular, we engage them to find out from them what they would like to see in the budget. And we'll do the same thing, of course, for the Stand Your Ground legislation consultations that we will pursue later down the road, with or without, of course, our coalition counterparts, or with or without the UNC involvement, because we are an entity on our own, and of course we subscribe to these initiatives that will broaden our democracy and the greater participation of the ordinary person at the micro level, whether it be the individual or the family. So we have some work cut out still. The point I'm making is quite a lot of work, but that is how it is.
Yes. Lennox, when last you hear people talk about human rights in this country?
While it might have been an everyday conversation, but it has been in the recent times to sort of accept the infringement of human rights. Let me put it that way. But to talk about it in a positive way, and people must adhere or must conform to these principles, because, for example, right now we have a state of emergency. And that in itself is an indication of course, the infringement of fundamental rights, because that would have been suspended legally. Go ahead.
All right. Well, what I want to talk about why human rights come in.
Yeah.
All the time, bandit killing police, killing abiding citizens who work hard for whatever they want.
Yeah.
And nobody say it that, the human rights will come down on them. The human rights will come down on them. But just as the police start to kill some bandit, everybody know about human rights now. That to show you how ignorant these people and them is. You didn't feeling sorry for the innocent.
Yeah, the victims.
Citizens, victims, and them.
Of the gun or the bullet, yeah.
Yes, but you're feeling sorry for the bandit and them. I can't understand these people and them, boy. So, this is what have our country always backward, right? Look, somebody has again talking about this incident with Rowley and the Interpol and thing. They're saying that the government report them and and to the end of the day, that Rowley would remain a past African prime minister. But they didn't study in that the same African prime minister, past prime minister, was suffering this country all the time. And he mashed up the country. He thief out the country, and he give it out to the 1% and the friends and the family, and did not care about the supporters. Because I see it Sunday in the Savannah, where some people, they had was to be PNM supporters. almost break down in tears for what? Sufferation from the PNM. And nobody didn't care about them.
Yeah.
But now everybody care. Everybody care. When the horse run out the stable, they lock the stable and trying to clean it up. But it's too late.
Yeah.
So, I can't understand these people and them at all. And now everybody trying to find out what Miss Kamala Prasad is doing, where she is. We cannot see she. But the problem, as I always said, she gave all her ministers and MPs and everybody the privilege to talk and do what is necessary for this country.
Right.
And Rowley didn't give nobody that privilege. He alone wanted to talk because it had a meeting yesterday in my constituency, and I have asked Dr. David Lee and Minister Ravi Ratiram to do a survey into the area and check out the condition of the roads that the PNM left it in.
Yes.
And see if you could help the farmers try and reinstate the road and give the farmers some encouragement to go back to the lands. Because under PNM, it had nothing like that. Nothing at all.
Yeah.
And I can't understand why the people now do not support this government. In just so much, about 86 days or 87 days, the amount of good come from this government, and nobody seeing that. Everybody talking about we want it now. How you could get it now when the people did not put legislation in place as yet to get the necessary funds that they need to put everything in place?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they give the people a chance, after the budget, the things will start to change. You give PNM 10 years and did not open all your mouth. But all you can't give Miss Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the coalition government to do what they're supposed to do. In that meeting, they talk a lot of things. They talk about crime. They talk about assisting people through social welfare and whatever. The minister.
Yeah, well, that's the pre-budget consultation
Yes.
that they would have held.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Just as what we did on Sunday.
Yes. Minister Srao Singh was there. Minister Sturge was there. Ravi Ratiram was there.
Okay.
And a lot of people was there.
All right.
So they have something good coming for we.
Okay.
It's just that we have to give them the time.
But
So
let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. But first and foremost, you started off, of course, with the race card that Rowley tried to inject or insert into the conversation of being a prime minister. That is you say an African prime minister, but of course we have to remember that Eric Williams was an African prime minister as well. Robinson was an African prime minister. Robinson was an African prime minister. Of course, Askipova, of course, George Chambers, because he was obviously a mix. But you could consider him to be an African as well. So therefore, when Rowley comes up with these what I consider be racial undertones, because he's African, etc., etc. Remember, he started off his political career in that vein. Remember, he was saying that somebody within the party say he's too black to be prime minister and so on. So we know that. We know, of course, of his attempt to look at bananas and say, ripe bananas, and say that, of course, he ain't no monkey, and what the intention was, and hoodwink, of course, the people in La Brea and Point Fortin, who rejected that, of course, on the 28th of April recently. So we understand that level of shenanigan to try to get some kind of political currency, if you want to call that. But then, of course, you also mentioned the whole question of people impatience. Well, I want to say, I like to see the glass half full. I like to say that level of impatience, and I agree with you, that level of impatience is not only a construct of the PNM. Let's not waste time with that, because we have seen them utilizing the parliament, utilizing, of course, their elected position, and of course the party that they represent, in order to fan the flames of impatience. But I want to also say that in itself is a positive for the government. That's how I see it. It's a positive for the government in that they know they have to move faster than they would normally want to move. Understand that? So it is called dialectic, where you have opposing forces creating a condition where you, in this case, of course, expedite a process. So whilst they are cautious, and whilst they have to be cautious, and while they have to be, of course, meticulous as well, and account, they have to, of course, engage in a scenario that will have them want to move faster than they would normally move. And I think that, to me, is a positive in terms of that. So let us not harp too much on the whole question of people wanting things now. But the fact of the matter is that because of that, and because we know where it is coming from, the government has a duty and responsibility, and I'm sure that they engage, of course, in expediting the whole process. I don't know if you agree with me or not. You're entitled, of course, to agree or not.
No, I'm not agree with you. I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Use the highway as example. Everybody who crossed the speed limit, what happened? Most of them crash. So you have to give the government, take the time, put legislation in place, and before the budget, they cannot do nothing. You have to have money to do whatever the people is asking for. They wait on Rowley for 10 years, wait until October, and things will start to happen.
All right.
And concerning what I say about Rowley didn't say it. Is a supporter say that.
Okay.
And the same thing that you say is the same thing come to my mind. They didn't see Eric William, they didn't see Chambers, they didn't see Robinson.
It's a PNM construct. It's a PNM construct.
Right? Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
You know, they're blind to extent. Okay, take care.
Yeah, okay then, my friend. But of course, I still maintain the fact that if it is that people are anxious now, if they are impatient, that in itself should be a catalyst for the government to act speedily. You see, because if it didn't exist, then you could make the argument that the caller made. But the fact is that people are acting up. They are talking, and their arguments or their narrative are reaching, of course, people like him, who has in fact indicated on this program that they don't want to wait. So it means that therefore there is a waiting, what I consider to be issue, a waiting issue, tolerance issue, delivery deficit as far as they are concerned. So what the scenario itself will suggest, because no government will sit idly and see that there are either creeping or galloping discontent or something leading to some ultimate discontent. It would sit idly by and just let it pan out, simply because they believe that the time is not yet right, or that the process takes such a long time, but in doing so they run the risk of having the people so agitated that it may well, of course, create more problems for the government. So that is why I am firm in my position that because of that dialectic that is operating, that dynamic that is operating, impatience versus, of course, delivery, that it will cause, of course, the government to deliver faster. That's the point I am making. And it's not a hard and fast situation where they had to wait because, of course, they now come in, etc. No, I'm making the point that they will want to expedite because there are agitation taking place. So there are barbarians at the gate waiting, of course, to enter, and they don't want them to enter. In this case, of course, the PNM. Don't forget, of course, at the same time, while, of course, that exercise is next year, you don't want it to deepen or foment more the discontent that those who are deliberately engaged unreasonably in that impatient scenario and generating the agitation and the argument to support same. You don't want much people to, of course, join that what I consider be destructive agenda, which, of course, is nestled, fomented, created, manufactured, orchestrated, and choreographed by the PNM. Right? That's the point I am making. Of course, I think we have consumed most of those calls. What's the time now? We just have about 27 minutes past. So we just have about three more minutes before 9:30, where we will come to an end. But let me quickly, of course, you're seeing that that video behind us. Well, I'll have to continue with it on Saturday, because Sunday is, of course, the actual anniversary of the 1990 coup. Merely to say to you, and you notice that coming up as well, is that the role played by MLIO after the 1990 coup. Well, I want to tell you categorically, and you could get it as well in the report of the Commission of Inquiry into the 1990 coup. You'll get it there as well, where I, as head of my organization, MLIO, the Mobile Lavatel Improvement Organization, and as a concerned citizen, and the fact that we disagree with dislodging a government in office by force, which was the intention of the insurrectionists in the 1990 attempted coup led by the late Abu Bakr. Well, in the aftermath of that, and wanted to show that not all of Laventille was in agreement or would have been part of that, what I consider to be tragic assault on our democracy, I wrote to the then Speaker of the House and the President of the Upper House of the Senate, both gentlemen agreeing with me, are talking about, of course, Nizam Mohammed in the case of the lower house, who was the Speaker of the lower house at the time, and of course Emmanuel Carter, who was the President of the Senate at the time. I wrote to them and saying, well, listen, we would like the opportunity to formulate a group of nationalists and bring them together in order to clean out the Red House as a demonstration of our support for democracy and the fact that we resist any violent takeover or undermining of our democracy. Well, that was granted, and I can't remember the exact date that we went to the chamber, and as I told our journalists, I will be on one of the TV programs next week on this matter. That is to me it is like yesterday, when, of course, the stench of stale pee, urine in glass. Imagine the indignity suffered by the hostages who were parliamentarians by and large on that day, and they had to urinate in ordinary drinking glass. And of course, the most emotional thing for me was to witness the bullet hole in the carpet that penetrated not just the carpet but the wooden floor below, and to see, of course, blood stain as well, of course, suggesting that was where the then Prime Minister A.N.R. Robinson lied when he was shot, and the stench of death was all over that place, and we had to open, I think, certain parts of the windows that normally would remain shut because it would have been air conditioned. but we had to open it up because of the stench of death, you know, and the macabre feeling and the chill that we got. And we had to go and, of course, wash out those plates and those utensils and other things that we found strewn, and then we had to clean up and so on. But what I remember very, very clearly and probably fondly is that we saw one side of a pair of shoes, high heel shoes, and when we looked at it, all of us agreed that it would have been, of course, Donovan McDavidson shoes, because she loved to wear expensive shoes. And so, of course, I was asked to hold it and communicate with her. And when I did, I thought I would get a little reward, a little kakada, but she said, thanks, you found it. And of course, she took it, but without any monetary or other reward. But of course, the mere thanks, I think, for me, would have been sufficient, because we didn't go there for money as such, but we wanted to show that there are people who would have shown their disapprobation, their disapproval, and their contempt for those who would have, of course, attempted, whatever reason it is, whatever beef they had with the government, there was no need to take up guns and, of course, invade our parliament, our seat of democracy, as was the case. And I remain so very steadfast. There those who might have been part of it and would want to, of course, make excuses. But, of course, there is no excuse for that as far as I am concerned. The other area, of course, that came out of that exercise, which, of course, I will be intimating to the national community when I get the opportunity on television, that the two maces of parliament, that silver and golden rod, if you want to call it that, that is carried on the shoulder of the marshal, the marshal of arms, before or walking in front of the president, or walking in front the president of the Senate, or walking in front of the speaker, that is called a mace. I think I understood recently with the visit of Moody that it was donated by the, I stand corrected, but I had some information other than that before, but I think it might have been donated by the Indian government, past government. I know that the chair where the speaker sits, I think that was donated as well by the Indian government. I stand corrected by those who are more knowledgeable than me in terms of the history of the parliament of this country. But the fact of the matter is that that mace, that was damaged. Both maces were damaged during the insurrection. And it was popular then to, of course, have that returned. And that is why I'm saying that I'm a bit confused as to whether or not it's from India or from the United Kingdom. Because I think the United Kingdom did donate that as well. That's from my information. Somebody probably could call in or could, of course, write and tell me which is the fact. But the popular move was to send it back to the United Kingdom or to the United Kingdom and have it repaired. Well, we said no. We said no. We said that as patriots and as persons who are extremely concerned about our democracy and the fact that it could be, should I say, infringed in that way, and in such a vile and hostile and I consider to be violent manner, that is, the people must demonstrate that it is prepared not to countenance that kind of behavior. And so we put the argument to both the speaker at the time, as I said, Nizam Mohammed, and that of Emmanuel Carter, who was responsible for the upper house, the Senate, and they agreed to a recommendation that we would have had, and that is to repair it right here in Trinidad. And we went to work on it. Let's take this call, and then of course I'll conclude with how we went about repairing those two maces of Parliament. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, Dr. Lennox.
Yes.
Somebody should call in. Somebody should call in about the Parliament. Well,
yes.
When Mr. Moody was here, the Indian
Yes.
Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I discovered, but the chair itself was donated by the Indian government. The
The
speaker's
chair, yeah. And the maces might have been a different arrangement, yes.
And then I saw the year and all of that, because I didn't pay attention, because I look at the parliamentarian, but I never really pay attention to the because I have the writing on it now.
Okay.
So-
Yeah,
so
we saw some
that-
India as well on the chair. So I was positive there, but I wasn't too certain about the Mason of Parliament.
So
All right.
I could confirm that with you.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. I will appreciate that because that is what we are
Yeah.
about, to sharing information that is positive and the veracity of which cannot be questioned. So I'm glad that you made that intervention to at least confirm the chair part of it, but not yet the Maces. All right. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful
you take
one
care.
because we're winding down now.
Take care.
Yes, it's my friend. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. But of course, at the end of it all, we were able, of course, we told the government of the day under Robinson. Well, Robinson was incapacitated, let me put it that way, and therefore Dukaran would have been the man that was in charge of the government at the time. And we did tell them that we will seek donations from every single citizen in the country. And we got wide dilemma to accept the repair, but more significantly for us, there was a young man from over working wide dilemma. I think it's he who approached us as a goldsmith, and he told us that he could repair that. And wide dilemma agreed, of course, to do it at a peppercorn price. And we then, of course, collected. We delivered the funds, and it was repaired. And with among much fanfare up at our facility in Fernandez compound, they wanted to bring up the repaired maces, but they said that it was a security risk. So Robinson, as Prime Minister, then the two presiding officers right in Fernandez compound there, where our school was operating, the MLIO school, I being the founder and the man in charge, they delivered a replica, not a replica, because they wanted to make a replica, but they didn't have time. So they presented up 2 pictures of the completely repaired maces. I'm sorry that I can't find it, but I think such an invaluable gesture. I think it was delinquent on our part. That's something I should have been keeping maybe in my suitcase and wherever I'm going. But I think the various movements that we would have made through Laventil and then, of course, in Mova, and then by those movements, we misplaced those pictures of the 2 maces that was, of course, framed and presented to me as the person who initiated the entire thing. And it was presented by both presiding officers as well as the Prime Minister, who by that time would have recovered, talking about A&R Robinson. And I think at that time as well, he presented to us some tools for our mechanic shop and so on. So that is the gist of that story. Of course, as I said, stay tuned. I'll be putting out some more bulletins with respect to our involvement as far as the leading up to, of course, the 1990 coup observance. But we did our thing in the aftermath after the 1990 coup, as I explained earlier. That being as it was a pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Uncle Lennox.
Good night, my friend.
Tobago.
Yes.
Special good night to the Prime Minister.
Yes.
I was thinking about something, a proposal for the Minister of Education.
Yes.
Right. Regards to the community centers and them, all the community centers throughout Trinidad and Tobago, were just closed and then doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The teachers and them who graduated from teaching college and waiting on a job. If they could use some of these teachers and them in different community centers on a weekend to give like SCA English and Maths and CXC English and Maths number for the children in different communities now, boy.
Wonderful idea, my friend. Wonderful.
Right, so you can still create jobs for the excess teachers who waited on the short list now, boy.
Yes.
And
I agree. I agree implicitly. You
Yeah.
know, and including, of course, where there's a shortage of that or the lack of it, but you have, of course, a
Because
cadre of individuals that are in need of that boost, that support. Then, of course, I
and
would
here- and
extend it to Panyards. Panyards have some facilities too that you could really engage in that way as well. So well said.
I
Well
was
said.
watching
and
a,
well
I was watching a press conference from the CXC director from Barbados and the lady. I can't remember her name.
thought.
And they say it have a decline in English and maths in the region.
Yeah, crisis.
Meaning
Yes.
all the
Yeah, there's a crisis. Yes.
The passes in mathematics for 2021 must be about 34%.
Yes.
While English was 46% or something. So in the region, so you know that percentage is looking right? Yeah.
No, I agree.
I
so
think-
therefore, they should be focusing on remedial work in that area.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
So I
agree
don't
with
think I recommend that to the Minister of Education. Right?
Yeah, because you see,
Right.
what has happened? It appears that there is less reading taking place now. My son, for example, I insist that every night at around 7 o'clock he has to read some kind of passage, because I've discovered that is really a major impediment to advance, because you can have all the computers. You can even have, of course, text to voice facility as well. But if you can't read directions and instructions to, of course, as far as an app is concerned, as the case may be,
You can't
then
excel
you're wasting
forward
time.
and do all that.
You
they
can't make
excel
use
forward
of
and do
the
all that
thing.
discipline.
So I agree with you. And of course, as you're on that fact, I don't think that you should have a double expenditure in terms of laptops and in terms of textbooks, because the entire textbooks could hold in the laptop as well as a library and everything else. So
But
take that
but
money,
look right in
and
look
put it
right in guy look
invest
look-
in only laptops, and then let's get it. And of course, make sure that you have connectivity all over the country.
but look right in Guyana, them trying to buy no books.
This is what I'm
No
saying.
books,
There's no need
books
for that
free.
now. I think this government is being hospitable to the last administration, in the sense that they don't want to rock the boat, because they have already created for the PNM some kind of political, let's say, anxiety in the society by doing what they have to do with respect to CPEP and URP, and of course the forestry program, etc. So they don't want to add that to it. But I think that the logical thing to do is to save that expenditure, do away with the textbooks, and of course all the textbooks will be, of course, in the computer, and let them focus on the computer, because that is the way to go. The more they are on that technology, the more they are familiar with it, the better it is, because exams will be coming that way. All government services these days, people are quarreling. 60 and 70-year-olds are saying, well, what the hell, today somebody called me and said, listen, they tell us, well, listen, if we want to apply for a house, we have to do it online. The thing about it is that we applying and the thing ain't going anywhere. So you have all of that, plus some other issues that seem to be making that system dysfunctional. So the more they are familiar with the technology, the better it is for the society. I know the banking system have it top up, because they may want to lose a cent. So the online banking system seems to be, even though from time to time they may get a little snag, but by and large they are functioning. So I expect that the government system should come up to scratch as well, because they want us to access, whether it be agricultural information, whether it be educational information, whether it be social services, etc., and we can go on and on, sporting, etc. All right. So thanks very much for that introduction. I think it's a wonderful thing. I know that people are listening. That matters, because yes, last night.
And if I miss out anything and all too, you can even modify it and all as well too.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I made the suggestion of the steel pan, because they have an asset that is only used around Carnival time.
Right.
So therefore, utilize it.
You're meaning that it more resources then, more resources.
Yeah, because you see,
Yeah.
you may not have a community center in a particular area, but you may have a steel band theater.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
so you
yes.
so you
Yes.
utilize that resource in order, of course, to augment, as you say, especially in the area of English and mathematics. So I think
yeah.
wonderful. All right, my friend, thanks
Yeah.
very much for that intervention.
Yeah, man.
Well said and
Yeah,
well
man.
done. All right, people, of
All right,
course,
then.
we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. What's the time now? Yes, it's after half past 9. I would be able, of course, to explain more about the video that is on the screen behind me, but certainly we will, of course, do some more. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is, of course, my Sabbath, my Sabbatal. I want to see. I will be at Spargos, yes, as everybody would know by now. And certainly, of course, we will be back here on Saturday night. But remember, of course, never ever worry. In human situations, we will make it once we try.
Some people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Let the people in the world today don't realize that worries don't pay. Resting the worries upon your shoulder, only bringing you older and older. These wicked things that people does do, you don't realize you have worries too. Tell them to never ever worry. Don't mind